thought I thought I heard something over here. I didn't think I heard something. I did hear something. Something snapped. Just heard it again, and I heard the bird. Researchers worldwide develop and utilize their own tactics and theories that they've developed from the experience they've had in the field. I have a theory that I developed years ago about how the cryptids exploit the infrastructure that man makes. That the power lines, for example, that seem to cut through remote areas and watersheds are used as a transportation, a pathway through rugged areas and a quicker way to do it. The power lines are also used as a form of communication. I've talked about that in other videos. Today I'm going to a bird blind which overlooks a power line corridor. It's from here I'm going to look for evidence of footprints or anything unusual or out of the way, disruption, so to speak. Just might see some birds along the way. What I found was a nice little structure that even had 2 seats inside and slotted windows for somewhat candid observation. And what it overlooked was a swamp, literally a swamp, at least it is now, filled in with water and grass, tree line on the other edge, and a large power line that goes right over it. Now, we don't have drier conditions at this point, but I may be able to find some drier or muddy areas so I can at least look for identifying marks such as prints or some indication that something's been coming through here. And not only is it wet and swampy, it's very hot out here. And the power lines, they stretch, as you can see, from one horizon to the next. It's just it's overgrowth and full of snakes. And could be some gator holes out here. It's really not the time of year to be dredging out here. Believe me, November is paradise. The birds seem to love it. They're hanging out on the power lines, and the bumblebees, and I've seen butterflies, and strangely, other than those vultures, I haven't seen any other birds out here. But we keep looking. I spent a lot of time in the woods, and I'm very much aware of the perils that exist. I've encountered them. I've almost stepped on them. I've been very close to them. People say they want to meet nature up close and personal. I mean, as they say, be careful what you wish for, because you might get that. It's the cryptid that I'm looking for. It's that has remained unseen. That may or may not pose a threat, probably not. But because I'm out here and I consider these woods to be my home away from home, I quite frankly want to know what's going on out here. And that's why I pursue this. Regrettably, mid-August in Florida is just not ideal for this. But it doesn't stop me. It's, mid-August in Florida is sort of like a turd sandwich, as Cody Londine once said. And you could put mustard on it, and that's the preferred way. But this time of year, it's better to just nibble along the edges and don't quite take a bite out of that turd sandwich yet. That'll come in November. Researchers believe in knocking as a form of communication. But a hard object, I'm using a quarter. You can hear the vibration go all the way up through this. All the way through the up to the high tension wires. Now, if you were hitting a heavier object, those strung wires could send a signal that would literally travel for miles. That's the form of communication that I'm talking about. In fact, I may have even just signaled them in some way. Even a quarter, even this quarter could send a vibration to the top. That's how tense this is. You see how smart they are? It's sort of a Bigfoot cell phone. See, ultimately, I believe it is technology that is going to make the discovery. And more and more as these toys are invented and put online, I think they need to be used. The area I just waded myself through, looking to make sure I didn't step on a snake at some point. I can't stress you how humid and how wet and moist and soupy it is back here. This is a great environment for something. Not me, at least temporarily. But anyway, get to the point here. Yeah, the ability to deploy in an enclosed area, say 2 trail cams aimed at 2 different directions, but can show coming and going, which a lot of people think should be done because one cam aimed in one direction, and when something's in front of it that's too close to be identified, then you have the redundant trail cam that's showing from a distance, or at least, a far shot, a wide shot of what is actually going on. So if it's a Bigfoot, it's a Bigfoot. It's a bug, it's a bug. All right, I see something opening up here. Let's give this a try. Yeah, all I'm looking at here is some wood up against a tree. It's no big deal. Crow might think otherwise. Looks pretty in here. Something snapped. Just heard it again, and I heard the bird. That's the way it is out here. It's so intermittent. Will-o'-the-wisp visual, will-o'-the-wisp audio. It happens over and over. And that's why I like the technology. I want to show you about technology. I'll show you an image of a giant boar that we got on a trail cam a couple years ago. Look at the size of this guy. And that followed up 2 nights later with one image, and so we got of something that looks like, I don't know, is this a cat? Is this a raccoon? You tell me. I really believe in this technology, and that's why I'm moving in that direction. It's probably though going to be, again, November before we can really get anything out in an area that we can let stand for 6 months. And in the meantime, I'm back to the turd sandwich. And it does have mustard on it. But I'm just going to nibble along the edges until it's time to take a bite.